Well, you know that time. It's picks time. So for NFL Week 14. So this week we know it was a hectic week. And for those who didn't see my previous episode, just show it really quick. Let's see where is there you go. 7-6. 7-6. So winning week last week. Not exactly how I expected, but okay. That's one game, that Monday night game especially. I mean, primetime games are not too kind to me. I mean, I did pick Dallas over Seattle, which was a fun one, and then Kansas City lost, which, in my opinion, gotta be glad to be wrong there. And then that thriller in overtime, where Jake Browning did very well to beat the Jags. So 7-6 last week, hoping for better 15 games this week, so more room for error per se, but only Cardinals and Commanders on a bye. But before we get into picks, let's talk about a few things. So first, touch up on it a little bit, but for the Lobos, for New Mexico Lobos, they hired Bronco Mendenhall as the new head coach, fighting Dan Gonzalez. But Bronco Mendenhall, been out of the game for a couple years. Still, good to see, very good coach. I mean, we'll see. They can be on the upswing. Who knows? I mean, with New Mexico State having a very good year and going to a bowl game, they lost the throw in the conference championship for Liberty. There's obviously pressure for Lobos to do better, and with how good New Mexico State has looked. So there's that. Trevor Lawrence. Now, it's interesting. So on Monday night, in that overtime thriller versus the Bengals, Trevor Lawrence suffered an ankle injury, which at the time looked horrible, probably season-ending, with less than 5 minutes left in the game in regulation. Then, so it's diagnosed as a high ankle sprain. So you assume that he wouldn't play at least this week, at least Sunday for the Browns. But the report was that yesterday and today he's been limited in practice, or one of the days, but nonetheless, it's at least a good sign that he's not been ruled out. I mean, again, that going back to earlier in the season where he had that short week, that knee issue, and while playing on a short week versus the Saints in New Orleans and mustered that game out. It's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Because both teams now, I'd say, need a win. That's a crucial game with the Jags and the Browns, certainly. Hayden Hurst. Well, talk about him. Good tight end for the Panthers. So it was diagnosed. He has not played in a number of weeks since the Panthers played the Bears on Thursday Night Football, the DJ Moore number one pick game, Bryce Young game. So he has not played in a couple weeks, being in concussion protocol. Apparently, he's diagnosed with post-traumatic amnesia. So, prayers out that he's okay. You know, it's a risk with sports like this in the NFL. It sucks. Hits the head. It's crazy. Number crap can happen. Just hope that he's okay and gets better ASAP. And hopefully he can wind up, hearing about this, you kind of don't want to see him back on the field, but at the same time you want to at least see him better, at least active again. Juan Soto. It appears the Yankees are trying to build help for Aaron Judge as they traded the full details of the trade. So they acquired Juan Soto and Trent Grisham for Michael King, Drew Thorpe, Johnny Brito, Randy Vasquez, and Cal Higasaka. Sorry if I butchered his name, but we know how talented So has been. Was with the Nationals, got traded to Padres. Thought that was going to be more, but now he's, Michael King, that's the big asset they had to give up, but, it was just a sad season for the Yankees. So hopefully they can rebound. Numerous signings in baseball came across the other day. They also acquired Alex Verdugo from the Red Sox. Pirates, what a collapse they had. But they acquired Marco Gonzalez. Diamondbacks were in the World Series versus the Rangers. Signed Eduardo Rodriguez. Reds signed Heimer Candelario. Again, sorry if I'm not the best with these names. And the Nationals signed Nick Senzel. So a number of coaches here, or players here. Duke hired new head football coach. Excuse me. Manny Diaz. They hired him as their new football coach. See about that. The Orioles, signed Craig Kimbrell from the Phillies. Interesting pickup. Filling in for Felix Bautista, who will be out for next season. We'll see. Obviously, getting the 1 seed last year in the American League, they got a building block from that. So we'll see. Mike McCarthy announced that appendicitis surgery, but will still apparently coach for Sunday night. So look to that. Best of his recovery, because that's a huge game for Sunday night. Guardians won the draft lottery. And okay, let's get into big stuff. So, number of lines have changed throughout the week, but we shall go over. So, let's see. So, tonight, Patriots in Pittsburgh. Steelers 5.5-point favorites. Steelers, no Kenny Pickett, will be Mitchell Trubisky tonight. Patriots will be without Ramondre Stevenson. So, without their best player pretty much on offense this season, it's going to be a tough task. Do think they can cover, but just on the edge, I'm going with, Steelers 17-12. Seeing how well Nick Folk has been for the Titans, he could definitely help for this team this season. Same with Jacoby Myers, who's in Las Vegas. But Chad Ryland, it's been a rocky season, so we'll see. But look, the Steelers still have eyes set on the playoff race. If they win, they're 8-5. They're in solidly, I believe, the 5 seed in the AFC. So, see how that goes down. This is interesting. This kind of turned into a pick'em game. But Buccaneers at the Falcons. Falcons, yeah, it's a pick'em. Now, Falcons won barely in Tampa Bay earlier this season. It wasn't a pretty game, but at the same time they won and had their chances to open it up, but turnovers gave Tampa Bay a chance at the end and couldn't capitalize. Now, seems like it'll be Desmond Ridder again. I just think, Tampa Bay could have lost that game versus the Panthers, but wound up pulling out. Saw a thing last night about Chris Godwin's wife, calling out the team for drop off in Godwin's usage on the offense. You expect a team, it's like we saw with Jake Browning on Monday night. If you have a capable QB with very good talent on offense, then should be good. And they should help that QB in that offense's performance. So, it started out heavily Godwin, and then it shifted kind of to more Evans. The better team right now, it's not a big gap, but Right now, I see the better team is the Falcons. So, they won once. See them win it again. So, 21-17, Falcons win. Ravens hosting the Rams. Could be a sneaky game of the day. So, Rams or Ravens, 7-point favorites at home. Ravens have their eye on the 1 seed. Rams had the 7th seed in the NFC for a brief bit before Green Bay beat Kansas City Sunday night. But still, 3-game win streak. They got their eyes set on a playoff spot in the NFC. It's tough, but I'm going with the Ravens here. I'm right on the line, so I'm going to change it. So I'm going to go 28-20. Lions at the Bears in Chicago. Lions 3-point favorites on the road. Last game in Detroit. Less than 5 minutes remain in the game. Bears up by 12. Looking comfortable. And then, if you blinked, you would have missed it. But the Lions came all the way back to take the lead late with less than a minute to go. And they won 31-26. Now in Chicago, it's weird. Bears should, when you go back to that Bears Vikings game, it really looked like a game where no one wanted to win. That's what it looked like. But the Bears did just a little more and got the win. But from what I saw, it was odd because you didn't see a lot of chances. I mean, didn't see the Bears, confident as an offense. I mean, I don't know. Now, second go around, Lions now 9-3, with one win, they already have one more win. They already have a better record than last year. I mean, could say it's hard to beat a team twice in a season. Of course it is, multiple times. On the road. I mean, sure, the Bears will have something cooking up at home. But for now, I got the Lions getting it done. 28-21. They move to 10-3. Because, now with 49ers pummeling the Eagles and Philly, the Lions can very well get the 1 seed. So, I mean, yeah, I'm going with Lions here. This game has certainly turned. So, Colts, 7-5 Colts, who are have won three straight at 7-5, firmly in the playoff race. Going to Cincinnati, where all of a sudden, after that overtime thriller, Bengals have life again. Now 6-6. Bengals 1 point favorites at home. You know, this is tough. So, at home and the Browning effect, look at, and it was a very solid performance. Very solid performance by Jake Browning. But it was almost too good. Because we've seen it's odd because we've seen it time and again. Mike White has a great performance versus the Bengals a number of years ago. He has 400 yards in his debut, and then it's not the same. He's Miami Dolphins backup. This year, Josh Dobbs, I have praise how Josh Dobbs was for the Vikings first couple weeks. And then the offense is kind of in growing pains. But I think for what we've seen is that with those weapons being together, like I mentioned earlier with Baker Mayfield and the Buccaneers. If you have a comparable QB with some very good weapons, then you can still put out good performances on offense. And that's what now T. Higgins is healthy again. You got him, you got Chase, Hudson. I like him as a tight end. He's had some sound performances this year. Mixon. It's tough because I was burned by the Colts last week in overtime. So, this is tough, but I'm going to go with the Bengals here, 22-20. Another game which is now tricky, I mentioned. Jacksonville Jaguars on the road going to Cleveland. Cleveland now 7-5. They are hinging on that playoff race now. Jaguars now at 8-4 off overtime. This is a tricky game between two playoff teams currently. Browns now 3-point favorites at home. So Trevor Lawrence, like I mentioned, has been limited in practice thus far. Seems like he's well. Excuse me. And it seems like it'll be Joe Flacco for another week. It seems like. Dorian Thompson Robinson has reportedly cleared concussion protocol, but he still has a ways away to get back on the field. I mean, with the way Flacco looked against the Rams, he did well. It just, besides that pick, he did pretty well for a guy who's hasn't really started in a number of years. This again, it's like the Saints game. You know, will Lawrence play? Will he not play? It's tough because I picked the Saints, and while it was close at the end, Jags won, and Lawrence played. So I mean, if he's out there, he may not be 100%. And the thing is, I don't think Christian Kirk. Well, let me check. Because Christian Kirk having that core injury. Yeah, so said that he'll have surgery and reportedly be out for 6 to 8 weeks. So that's a loss there on offense. So expect more Calvin Ridley, expect more Evan Ingram. You know, it's honestly tough. But I'm going to go with the better defense. You know, Jim Schwartz is probably going to let them know about it on defense. You know, after giving up that many yards to the Rams. I'm going with the Browns. I feel like they need it more. You know, with the Colts, with the Bengals, you know, out there, the Texans, Broncos. Feels like they need it more. So 20-14, Browns get the dub out. Saints hosting the Panthers. Saints 5.5 point favorites at home. Not gonna say much. I mean, Panthers can keep it close. I mean, I do like some of the fire Chris Tabor kind of gave to the team. But, I mean, Saints still have a shot at the division. And if not for a wild card, I just think, you know, better talent, you know, I'm going with the Saints 21-16. They win at home. Whether it's seems like it may be Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, maybe a bit if Taysom Hill is healthy enough. But yeah, the line has moved for this one or shrunk. Texans going to East Rutherford. Play MetLife. Texans 3-point favorites on the road against the Jets. Now, Zach Wilson gonna be starting again, so that's a plus. Similarly, I mean, Zach is at least somewhat mobile, and he can make some off-script plays. So I think the mindset of this game will be similar to how it went versus the Chiefs, where it's like short pass or like quick passes, quick throws. Don't do too much for Zach. That home. Can Zach Wilson make some plays again for the Jets? I think so. But with the Texans and, their field, it's going to be tough. It's tough. No, no, Tank Dell is going to hurt him, I will say. I'm going to go with the Texans here on the road 24-17. Vikings off a bye in Las Vegas. Going to play the Raiders. Vikings 3-point favorites on the road. I was talking about this with one of my friends who's a Vikings fan. He spoke about how this game would be, or this bye, is coming at a good time for the Vikings. At 6-4, they were feeling themselves. Maybe a bit too much. Think about. I kept saying, I think everyone thought, well, a bunch of winnable games in November, and then December would be the real test. Well, now they dropped a few, and we're into December where you still have to play the Lions twice. Jordan Love is playing better. That team is now fighting for a playoff spot. Jake Browning now, with that performance on Wednesday or on Monday night, who knows? So the Vikings' schedule has now turned a bit on their head, because 6-4, you're feeling themselves looking at that record. Joe Burrow gets hurt. They're like, okay, not too sure about the Packers, but now the Packers are 500. Jordan Love playing well. Still have to play the Lions twice. And now you're 6-6. So, this should be a winnable game for the Vikings. But, we said that about the Bears game. That was a snowball effect. The thing is, and I've been saying this the last couple of games, when they lost in Denver, when they lost to the Bears, it feels like they haven't quite designed the playbook for Josh Dobbs' skill set. I mean, Kirk Cousins is a great thrower. Has a very good arm. You know, Josh Dobbs has a good arm, but he's not Kirk Cousins as a thrower. He's good, but he's not Kirk Cousins. What he does have that Kirk Cousins doesn't is good mobility. And it doesn't have to be like run dominant because they don't have a very good run game. Just design a couple quarterback runs, something. Have them run more because that's a strength is Josh Dobbs' legs. I mean, if they can do that, the defense has played much better than it did last year because there's a lot of wins, but there was a lot of okay, they escaped with a win. A lot of those wins could have been else. And this defense played much better. For the Raiders, you know, that stigma after being the two New York teams with Jets and Giants, that stigma, it's like, okay, they played good. There's some improvements. They played competitive versus the Dolphins. They were up 14-0 on the Chiefs, and then they kind of fizzled. So, I mean, this is a winnable game for them. Aiden O'Connell feels like he was trying to do too much versus the Dolphins, in a way. And, O'Connell has some good qualities. He can throw the ball well. Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, etc. So, I mean, this is a game I can see either team win. I'm just going to go for the home team, and, if I'm wrong, good. And if I'm right, good. So, because I live in a Vikings family. So, 17-14, Raiders win. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. 49ers hosting the Seahawks. 49ers 10.5-point favorites at home. Last game, 49ers beat up Seattle in Seattle. Similar to the way they beat up Philly in Philly. Now, back to back, it's an interesting ask. So I do think there's going to be a bit of a letdown for 49ers. And, divisional opponent, the Seahawks are kind of desperate, it feels now. Because now there's a four-way tie at 6-6 with the Seahawks, Vikings, Rams, and Packers. So, I mean, we saw that first, the Cowboys. They almost won that. That was a thrower by Geno Smith. Now, yeah, this can be tough. I'm going with the Niners, but I do think, similarly to the Cowboys game, the Seahawks will try to put their best foot forward. but the Niners make a play or two to ultimately get it back. 24-21. I'm going 49ers. Bills going to Arrowhead, play the Chiefs. This line is also strong. 1.5 point favorites are the Chiefs at home. You know, again, the Chiefs' woes have been an issue, especially the wide receiver. Yes, we could have said, again, play calls, penalties, etc. Bills off a bye. You know, has shown that, like, Josh Allen in 4 games for the Chiefs in his career, he's 12-1, touchdowns to picks. He plays well for his Chiefs. In Arrowhead, this is tough because if the Chiefs lose this, then who knows? I mean, it's going to be a tough ask for the Broncos now 2 games behind, but we'll see. I'm going to go with the Bills here on the road, 24-17. We'll see. This is going to be a fun one. Tell you that. Chargers, they host the Broncos. 3-point favorites are the Chargers. Let me double check that because that is interesting. So it's now moved to 2.5 points for the Chargers. But yeah. So golly, this stuff. Josh Palmer, the Chargers are going to get back off IR, so that's going to be an interesting tale. I don't know what has gone to the Chargers offense this season. "2017 Chargers, this stuff, yeah. Cowboys hosting the Eagles on Sunday Night Football. This is kind of feels like a playoff game in December with what's on the line. Cowboys win. They're in first place of the AFC or the NFC East and potentially the 1 seed with how things shape out on Sunday. So, I mean, this is a tough task for the Cowboys. And if Dak wins this and looks good, those MVP talkers of Dak Prescott, I will oblige and say he's firmly in the MVP conversation. If he wins and looks good for the Eagles, then yeah, I will say that Dak is in the MVP conversation. If he loses and puts up a sinker, then I will say, okay, pump the brakes a little bit on Dak. I mean, he's still approaching, but he's not quite in, if you ask me. But, Cowboys favored, Mike McCarthy to undergo appendicitis surgery, like I mentioned earlier, but it's still expected to coach on Sunday night. Philly was tired, you could say. They were tired. They were beat. They were gassed, it seems. First, the 49ers, I mean, the gauntlet they're playing this year, against the Cowboys before. They faced the Chiefs. They played Buffalo. I mean, this gauntlet they're going through, and they're still going to have to face, the Seahawks who are going to be desperate. I mean, they still have a number of teams they got to go through this season. It's tough, but I'm going with the Cowboys. I was almost right the first time. They goofed it up. I'm trusting that the Cowboys do not goof this up like they did the first game. And they win 31-27. And if that happens, Dak plays well. You get no arguments from me saying Dak is in the MVP conversation. We're back to 2 Monday night games on Monday. We got the Titans playing the Dolphins in Miami. Dolphins 13-point favorites. Titans show won that game. First, the Colts, but they didn't. Ryan Stonehouse still being hurt. That hurts. The Titans. I thought Will Levis played very well. Again, it's still a learning curve. This division is much better than I think people thought it would be going into the year. I mean, what Minshew and the Colts have done, along with Michael Penix, Alex Spears, Zach Moss, Jonathan Taylor, what the Texans have done, C.J. Stroud, Singletary, Pierce, Takedale, Nico Collins, etc. And the Jags, of course, Jags. But Will Levis has played well. There was that one play where he went for the airplane spin midair, and then there was that play where it looked like he threw a pick, got back on it, and then knocked away from the defender, and then got it back. But the Dolphins, again, they're another team looking for the 1 seed. And I'm going with Miami, 31-20. Last game of NFL Week 14. Packers. This is interesting. Jordan Love versus Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito. Giants off a bye. Tommy DeVito played very well first the Commanders. And then they did well enough to get the win versus the Patriots. Jordan Love has been playing better. Got his team in position. Do think it'll be tough, but I think Packers will do enough. 28-12, Packers win on the road. Yeah, that's the picks for you. But yeah, guys, we'll see. Um, yeah, but anyways, guys, thank y'all for joining me. I made Joe Chewin Love. See you guys next time. Enjoy the weekend, podcast, everything. Happy holidays. We're getting close to the end of 2023, and I'll still be here. But anyways, guys, thank y'all. Hit that like button. Peace.